Sometimes, how does a person get started as a professional speaker? Well, for myself, it all began with a phone call. I heard through the phone, "Hey Jeremy, will you go into the Rotary Club and tell them about our fitness center?" See, even though I wasn't actually a speaker at the time, it made sense that the boss, the owner of the gym, called me. See, I was very passionate about fitness, the lead trainer in the gym, and most importantly, I like to talk. Well, had you been there that Wednesday morning as I walked in, with the Rotary members sitting four to a table, enjoying the buzz and chatter of networking, enjoying their breakfast of bacon and eggs. As I stepped up to the lectern, you quickly realized something that neither I nor my boss was aware of. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. It started slow, it finished weak, and there were flashes of mediocrity through it. You may be thinking, now Jeremy, it wasn't really that bad. But when I stepped up that morning, there were 29 people in the room. About 5 minutes into my presentation, it's still going strong. This guy walked out while I was talking. And by the time I sat back down 17 painful minutes later, there were 16 people left. 13 walked out. Of the 16 who remained, they weren't still there because they were listening to what I had to say. They were still there because they were listening to what their neighbor had to say. Andre, have you ever talked to somebody and you just knew they weren't listening?
Oh, yes.
You're married, aren't you? Take that feeling and multiply it by 29. It was miserable and it was bad for business. When I arrived home, my loving wife Elaine met me at the door with the exact question I did not want to answer.
Where did you go?
How'd it go? I said, how'd it go? I'll tell you how it went. They were awful. What an awful group. Well, fast forward 2 years. My phone rings again. Well, that's not the only time my phone rang in 2 years, but it was the president of Rotary, and he says, "Hey Jeremy, will you come into the club and tell us about your business?" Well, I wish you could have been there. The exact same room, with many of the exact same faces. When I stepped up, there were 32 people. Not one of them walked out of that room. Within 1 minute of that presentation starting, they turned their chairs. They were facing the front to take in every word. Have you ever talked to someone and you just felt like you caught off every word you said? Yeah. Feels pretty good, doesn't it? Multiply that by 32. I was on cloud 9. As soon as that meeting ended, they were lined up to talk to me. The first lady says, "Jeremy, will you come in and speak to the women's group at my church?" And then right behind her was Big John, this businessman, all suited proper, big bald-headed fella. And all of a sudden he was completely animated. He said, "Man, Jeremy, that was intense. I felt like a boxer. The hits just kept coming." I was scared not to listen. I might miss something. And right behind Big John was Ellie. And Ellie says, "Jeremy, let's book a time. I want a consultation." I arrived home that morning. My lovely wife Elaine meets me at the door and says, How'd it go? I said, "It was awesome. Absolutely awesome." What an awesome group. You already know this, but they were never awful. Looking back, I wouldn't have listened to them. So what do you think made the difference between coming home and saying, "That was awful," and 2 years later coming home and saying, "That was awesome"? What do you think made the difference?
Training. You made a decision to make a difference.
Training. I made a decision to what?
You made a decision to make a difference.
Yes. Made a decision to make a difference. What else? Mindset. Tony?
Getting coached.
Getting coached. All correct answers. You see, over that 2-year span, I literally invested hundreds of hours of trial and error. Thousands of dollars learning from the best speakers in the world of how to make presentations more powerful and profitable. And what myself and the other authors of that book did was pack as much knowledge into the book, Big Ideas for the Big Stage, to help you take a shortcut rather than travel our long road. I encourage you, if speaking is something that's going to help your business move forward, grab a copy of Big Ideas for the Big Stage and work on those speaking skills. And regardless of where your speaking skills are today, when you work hard and move forward, you can take them from wherever they are now to awesome.
Thank you very much.